Nice gloomy day here in Alaska. Temperature came up to 20 degrees. Let's fire up the Weber today, shall we? Today, tri-tip on the Weber. It's 6:30 in the morning, and I'm going to do tri-tip today on the Weber grill. The temperature's raised outside to 17 above zero, which is pretty awesome because we've been at as low as 20 below zero in the last week. Now, when I do my tri-tip on the barbecue, I do it on the Weber with indirect heat, as usual. Most of my big cuts of meat I do with indirect heat. I also use, right there in that little baggie there, my own rub. I haven't found one I really like, so I kind of created this one myself, and these are the ingredients that go into that rub. I'm not going to tell you what the breakdown is, but I will tell you that it's got paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, dried oregano, salt, black pepper, cayenne pepper, and dried thyme. So today's project is going to be tri-tip on the Weber grill with a nice dry rub on it. All right? That's what we got, and that's what we're doing for you today. Okay, so like I said earlier, we're going to be doing tri-tip today, and we're going to lightly smoke it with hickory. Now, everything that you'll ever read about using wood chips for smoking on your barbecue says soak them, soak them, soak them. I do not soak them, and there's a reason why. I kind of want them to burn off rather fast. I want the smoke to come out. I really don't care how long it smokes for. In the case of today, I have found that by putting together 3 packets of hickory in this way, I get a good smoke flavor when it's done. I did, if you look over there in the corner, mix up the dry rub that we're going to use later on. So basically, you just take a long piece of aluminum foil here, right? Stretch it out about, well, I'm going to say it's about 1.5 feet long. Good handful here in the middle of the hickory chips. Then you're going to fold one side over, this side over, this side over, till you have a packet. And the folded pieces are going to go down. So you're going to be like this when you're done. Turn the packet over. And if you look in there, you'll see that I've taken a fork and just poked a whole bunch of holes in the top of that. So what we're going to do is, as the tri-tip goes down on the grill to begin with, fat side up after it's been seasoned. We'll show you all that in the next section here. I'll take one of those packets and I will put it down on top of the hot coals. So as it starts to smolder and smoke, we'll get that release of hickory. I found that doing tri-tip hickory really, really, really adds a nice sweet flavor to the roast when you're done. So that's it for this section. I'm going to go ahead and season up the tri-tip. We'll show you that next. Okay, so there's what you're looking for in a tri-tip. Notice that there's quite a bit of fat still left on the meat. Do not let the butcher trim it too much. I would rather buy it with the fat on it and trim it down a little bit myself than to have it completely clean of all the fat, because that fat is what's going to flow through that meat as you're roasting it on the grill, and that's where a lot of the flavor and a lot of the tenderness is going to end up coming from. I will tell you, it's kind of funny. I mentioned you at the beginning of this that the temperatures finally come up. Outside right now it's 22 degrees. Yesterday it was 0. So that'd be like, if you walked out of your house yesterday and it was 50, and today you walked out of your house and it was 70, it would be a huge freaking change for you. But I'm in a 5th wheel trailer as I'm getting ready to start construction on a cabin up here on a lot that I bought in Alaska. And the floor in this 5th wheel is so chilly that when I bought the roast yesterday, I just took the bag and left it sitting on the floor. And literally, there is still there's still ice, a little bit of ice crystals on the underside of this thing. So yeah, I just thought that was kind of humorous. All right, so we're going to get with it right now. We're going to start seasoning this thing. Excuse me for shaking around a bit. I am holding the camera at a different angle, so hopefully this video will come out with an actual full screen on it. So here's the herbs that we have, right? And I mix these together. It's my own dry rub. You got the ingredients for that a little earlier on. And when I put these on, I am putting it on very, very liberally. I mean very liberally. And one of the things I hear a lot of people say all the time is, what are you doing? You're killing that meat. Look at all that stuff that you're putting on there. This is going to slow roast, and this is really going to add a nice flavor to the crust on the outside. Just like the prime rib that we did on the previous video, the herbs add to this. They do not take away from it, and because it is such a big piece of meat, this is 4 pounds of beef right here. When you cut into the meat, you're just going to get a slight amount on the outside edges, and then everything else is just the flavor of the meat itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish seasoning this thing back up, and then I'll come back on with another section of video here to explain to you what we're going to do and how we're going to put it down on the grill. All right, so she's all seasoned up here. Really, really liberally on this side. This is the fat side, by the way. That is the side that will go up on the grill. I don't cook this fat side down. I cook it fat side up. Let's turn that over. And like I said, it's still kind of on the firm side here, where it was a little bit frozen from resting inside. I'll go ahead and I'll leave this sit out on the counter here. It's about 10 minutes to noon right now. I'll probably leave it sitting on the counter for about an hour. Let it start to come up a little bit. I don't want to throw it on the grill when it's that cold. Notoriously, what ends up happening, if you cook a piece of meat that cold, you lose all the juices inside. They just expand out as they're cooking. They never go back in, and you end up with a dry piece of meat when it's done. So I'm going to let this thing come up like I do everything, like I do roasts and steaks and everything else. Not quite to room temperature, but close to room temperature. And then we will go ahead and we will fire up the grill, and we will throw this thing on there. So, like I said, you get it all seasoned up. All the drippings down here of the leftover herbs, just keep taking them and throwing them on there as they start to soak in so that you get a nice coating all the way around the tri-tip. And then we will jump on the barbecue after this. For the last video I didn't do a vegetable to go with it. So here's a quick and easy idea. I happen to really, really love Brussels sprouts. All I do is I take them and lay them on the foil, hit them with a little bit of olive oil, some butter pats on top, a little kosher salt, black pepper, and a little bit of garlic. We're going to wrap those up, and you're actually going to throw them on the hot side of the grill about 20 minutes before that tri-tip's about to come off. Or if you're really nervous about it, you could just wait until you pull the tri-tip off and then cook these at the end, because you're going to rest the tri-tip anyway. I love Brussels sprouts. We're going to caramelize these. They're going to be a nice little roasted brown on the outside when they're all said and done, and they are going to be delicious. Super easy to do. Wrap it up in foil, cook it all in one pack, and throw everything away when you're done. So that'll be the vegetable accompaniment for the meal tonight. All right, the barbecue is fired up. The temperature is now 32 degrees. There is just water falling everywhere out of the ice of the trees. You can always tell when a barbecue is fired up because the neighbor comes over. She checks everything out just to make sure everything is okay. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? You gonna help me barbecue tri-tip today? Oh yeah. Yum, yum. I swear to God, our neighbors have more frickin' money for ammunition than anyone I've ever met before. Okay, tri-tip is on the grill. I've got the thicker part of the cut, as usual, towards the heat end. I might back it off a little bit later. I've got the package here that I'm going to swing around over here, flip this up. There we go. Then I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to tuck that bad boy in right there. Right? See where it's laying? It's just laying right on top of the hot part of the coals there. At this point, got a bit of a mess going on. I'm going to grab the top, place it back on. All right. And then I'm going to adjust these shut a little more. This way we'll keep as much of the smoke in the kettle as we can in the beginning. Like I said, we're not smoking this. We're adding smoke flavor to it. So there you have it, set up. Do you approve? Everything work out okay? Get your nose away from there. All right, that's it. And now we just let it do its thing. So you can see, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. See the smoke just coming out of that package right there through all those little holes I put in it. I went ahead and put the next one on. I'm going to seal this up now, but you can see that it's slowly but surely starting to roast. And the asshole neighbor is once again firing all kinds of ammunition off. This will be a short video. I'll leave it at this. I want to get the top back on here again. Let's do that. Right now, I'm going to open these vents up a little bit more. It's kind of suffocating the fire in there a bit. Temperature now is about 40 degrees. Wind's blowing. It is freaking gorgeous. And I had to dig out the big boots. My feet were cold in the other one. That's it. I'm going to spin the camera around here real quick. This is going to be good. All right. We've been going for about an hour and a half here. So let's check the temperature. See where we're at. See that smoke coming off right now? It's more hickory right there. Oh, look at the hickory coming out of that bad boy. All right. Handy dandy dollar store Insta-Read thermometer. Shove it in the thicker part of the meat. Let's see what we got here. 110, 115. Okay, we are just about to rare. Rare is 125 degrees. I want to go to medium rare, so I want to go to 135 degrees. Pull that bad boy out. We're going to let this thing just continue to cook and simmer and smoke away again. We're probably there on the temperature over on this side. You can see the juice starting to come out the sides there. Ugh. That smoke coming off is the hickory. So we got about 10 or 15 more minutes left to cook this thing. All right, we're at 130 on the thick part, 135 on the thin part. So what I've done here is I've pulled out the smoking packs, the ones that we're still smoking, because now it's time to place my veggies on the barbecue. All right, I'm going to leave those on there. I'm going to grab this, see if I can do this with one freaking hand. Hopefully. Place that on there. Close this whole bad boy up. Let those Brussels sprouts cook. Then I'm going to put a tent over the top. A little breezy out here. Anyway, I'm going to put a tent over the top of that thing, and I can't do it with one hand while I'm holding the camera. So we're going to let this rest for about 15 minutes while we're cooking up the Brussels sprouts. That looks good. Okay, I got it all tented up inside here. The wind was blowing around too much for me to actually do that. It's actually just 2 pieces of aluminum foil wrapped together, so it'll go over and rest nicely over the top of the roast. Why do we rest large cuts of meat? Why do we rest steaks when we pull them off the grill? Why do you always pull them off and then just kind of let them set and take care of business? Well, when they cook, the juice kind of goes out towards the outsides. By letting it rest, you're letting the juice go back through the meat as the muscle relaxes. Also, if you cook it like I did to 130 on the thick part, it's going to raise probably 5 more degrees while it's sitting here resting. It is still cooking from the inside out now. So that's why we pull it off, and that's why we rest it. Just so it stays juicier. It keeps the flavor, and it finishes cooking basically on the counter. As you can see back in the background, the daughters are with me cooking dinner again. All right. We'll come back into this thing and we will show you what it looks like when we cut into it. There you have it. Get out of the light here. A medium rare. Nice pink color on that bad boy in the juice. Oh my goodness. How'd the Brussels sprouts turn out? There's dinner right there. Quick and easy. I mean, really, there's not a whole lot of prep to it. I put it on at 130, and it was kind of cold. The charcoal I had was kind of jacked up. Right now, it is 4 o'clock, and I'm eating. It was on for basically 2 hours on the grill. I did add a little bit of extra charcoal, but not much, really. The Brussels sprouts, as you can see, just kind of caramelized nice and tender. Super easy, super simple recipe to do. If you want to see something done in particular going forward, just let me know. I'm more than happy to try and do it. I'll go ahead and post this video. Ran into an issue with the last one. Apparently the music that I used was unauthorized. So they didn't block the video, but basically I got a slap on the wrist saying don't use that kind of music again. So I will be using free music that is authorized on YouTube from this point forward. That's it. I'm going to sit down and eat dinner. Have a great day. Thanks for watching the video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.